Thank you for the opportunity to come straight to you from Organic Valley. Even though this year we're going to miss the human connection from Expo West, I'm thrilled to have the opportunity to do the next best thing, which is connecting here via virtual. We have a great time set for you today to share something that is very dear to us and provide you with a message that really matters to us. So thank you, New Hope, for this opportunity, and let's get started. My name is Stacy Kring, and I am Chief Revenue Officer here at Organic Valley. And, I'm here because I love being a part of something that's greater than just me. When people think of Organic Valley, they think of products on the shelf, but at the end of the day, it means so much more. It's about the message that we're going to share with you today, and I'm just thrilled to be here. I'd like to make a few introductions. First, I'd like to start with two of our farmers. Oh my goodness, John and Ross. There's this picture of you and your family, great looking family right here on the screen. John and Ross are our farmer members. John is part of our grass milk program, and his son Ross is the next generation on the farm. John and Ross, can you just say hello to the group?
Hello, welcome from Oregon.
Perfect, thank you. Next, I'd like to introduce Meenakshi Trehan. Meenakshi is on my team. I am so thrilled to be working for her and with her. She's responsible for really growing our Organic Valley brand, as well as looking at innovation and bringing together a voice for the categories. Meenakshi, would you please say hello to the group?
Hello from Wisconsin, and really excited to be here.
We're glad to have you. And our final member of our team today is Nicole Rakovich. And Nicole is our Director of Sustainability here at OV. We are so thrilled to have her on our team. She's bringing new insights to what we can do better every day. I'm proud Nicole lives on a homestead, and she practices the values of sustainability both at home and in the office, and she just makes us better and better. Nicole, please say hello.
Hi, everyone from Wisconsin. Happy to be here today.
Great. Let's get started. So what I want to do is provide you with our mission. We look at who we are and how we do things. And at the end of the day, the work that we do today is about leaving a sustainable work environment, farm environment, product environment for the future. And really, when you think about that, it comes down to a couple of things. One is how we treat people, how we care for people, how we care for animals, and most importantly, how we care for the earth. What we want to do today will leave a sustainable economic growth for tomorrow, and that is really why we're here. We thought we would sum it up best in a short video. Would love to share that video at this time because it really provides you with that message.
Organic Valley believes that when we do what's right and when we cooperate with each other and with nature, the good we create ripples outward, and that has a big impact. So we're proud to share our story with you in Organic Valley's 2021 Impact Report. At Organic Valley, everything starts with care for people. We are a cooperative. During our 33-year history, we have grown from a handful of farmers into a community of more than 1,800 caretakers of land and animals. Our entire business model puts farmers first. We make decisions with farmers at the table. Our founding mission is literally to pay farmers a stable, sustainable price for their hard work and dedication. In an era that has seen the mass industrialization of agriculture, we keep family farms on the land. Our farmers are supported by nearly 1,000 mission-focused employees who we honor with progressive policies like generous paid parental leave, equal pay for men and women, and remote work and flexible schedule options whenever possible, and a $15 per hour minimum wage across our entire business. Our 1,800 organic family farms are committed to farming in harmony with nature. That means that care for animals is always at the top of their minds. Our farmers know that every animal has a personality, They respect their animals and honor the nourishing food they provide to us. Our cows live a low-stress, natural lifestyle. In fact, they spend more time grazing outside than 95% of dairy cows in the U.S. And that low-stress lifestyle and being outside makes for healthy animals. Our organic family farms have fewer incidences of illness than the rest of the dairy industry, thanks to organic practices, our robust animal care program, and our farmers' care. Our chickens and turkeys are never caged. They get plenty of outdoor access and continuous access to food and water. Our pigs are free to relax and interact with others in their shelter or on their pasture. They never see the inside of farrowing crates. Our family farms care for the earth by working with nature, not against it. Organic Valley's climate-smart farms create an organic ecosystem that regenerates the soil while providing excellent nutrition to animals and humans. Across the nation, our farms take care of more than 460,000 organic acres of land. 189,000 of those acres are pastures that remove carbon from the atmosphere and store it in the soil. Our farmers use rotational grazing and focus on biodiversity, water quality, and conservation. These regenerative farming practices create healthy pastures, help reverse climate change, and promote life in the soil. And they provide a tasty, diverse diet for their cows. Beyond pasture, our farmers have spared the earth by keeping more than 440 million pounds of chemicals off the land. And 1 out of 10 Organic Valley farms reduce their reliance on fossil fuels with on-farm renewable energy systems. We are halfway to becoming a carbon-neutral business. We reduce energy use where we can, install new solar and wind energy sources, and offset other business emissions with carbon credits from an organization that plants trees in the Amazon. And as of 2019, our owned facilities are powered with 100% renewable electricity. We do all these things because we believe everything is connected in one amazing natural equation. It adds up like this. Healthy soil and healthy plants create healthy animals. Healthy animals give us delicious and nutritious food that creates healthy people. And it all adds up to a healthy planet. At Organic Valley, we respect the interconnectedness of all life, and we're proud of the impact we create. We invite you to learn more about how we're working to create a better world at ov.coop/impact.
Awesome. Thank you. Oh, we're going to start by talking about the 3 things we shared before, which is care for people, care for animals, and care for the planet. Where I want to start is here with care for people. And I tell you what, that is Stephanie Tranel there from the Tranel Family Farm. I was just out there not too long ago. Talk about people who care for other people. Stephanie not only cares for her animals on her farm, but boy, does she really engage and care for people around her, as well as her family. I love being engaged with Stephanie. She's so great. You know, I think of how we start with caring for people, and I think of the organic food and farming together and how that is really taking care of everyone. And that's really where it's at. It's the health of children, and just really the economic health for organic farming and how much that can provide. One of the things that you saw in the video that we talk about in caring for people is through diversity and inclusion. And one of the pieces that we're really, really proud of is the women in leadership. And here at OV, at CROP, our women hold 45% of the leadership roles. And that is so powerful and so important to me. I've led a life of 25 years in the dairy industry, and it hasn't always been that case. And this year I was able to just celebrate as we promoted a couple of new women up into senior leadership roles and just really pave the way there to have more of a diversity around the table and make sure that we're hitting on all different aspects of our consumer, where she shops, where he shops, and where they're gonna end up being and how we can serve them. Hey, Meenakshi, I'm just curious from you how you feel about women in leadership and what this means to you.
Stacey, I think for me, like you said, just the fact that I see women in leadership positions at OV, which is very different. Like my career has been in food. This is a different organization and I see it. And I think for me, what it does is it brings diversity of thought. And to me, it's very simple. When you have diverse thoughts on the table, it leads to better problem solving and then better outcomes. And then the second thing I must plug as a woman, right? Women are great collaborators and team players. And, as I think about what is at the core of the co-op, and that's what it is. So, those two things, hit home for me when I think about women in leadership positions at OV.
I love that. Thank you for sharing. And another woman in leadership here today is Nicole. Nicole, your thoughts on how CROP is leading the way here from a diversity, especially centered around women in leadership. What are your thoughts about that?
Yeah, thank you, Stacey. Well, I see a lot of support. My philosophy in leading my small team is to support them, right? To help them be the best that they can and remove any barriers and really focus on their professional development. And I feel that from myself as a leader, from, other leaders at the co-op, from the executive leadership. So I think that's definitely part of our cooperative and why we're successful.
You bet. And it's not just about women in leadership, but it's also about the other things that we do for our people around here at CROP. And I know you're going to lead some conversation around the video talked about it. It was about our minimum wage. Tell me more about that.
Yes. Well, I really believe that sustainability begins with living wages for people. I think that basic economic needs need to be met, and then environmental sustainability is possible after that. That's why I'm happy to say what you can see on the screen here is that in 2019, Organic Valley established a minimum wage of $15 an hour for all employees. So that is a really great accomplishment and really goes far beyond the federal minimum. And by doing so, we're helping to foster economic sustainability in the communities where we have facilities and we live and work. And then, we don't just end there with our employees. We really focus on providing a stable, fair pay price for our farmers. These are the people that create the high quality milk for our products and care for the earth and the animals that are part of the ecosystem that creates our products. So I think, maybe John or Ross might want to add something next.
Absolutely.
Yeah, the sustainable pay price is just absolutely vital to our farms to allow us to keep doing things right here, to be ecologically balanced. Also, we're really proud that to say that our non-family employees make well over the $15 an hour wage limit. And so we've really been happy with what that sustainable pay price has done for that. It also allows us to bring on the next generation, something that's fairly difficult to do in today's conventional farming world, unless you continue to get bigger and bigger and bigger.
How long have you been an OV farmer?
Well, we have been now Organic Valley farmers for 21 years.
21 years. Wow.
Yeah,
and were you conventional before that?
We're conventional on our farm, on this farm for 8 years. I worked for my father for 5 years right out of college. And that was also a conventional dairy farm because really at that point there weren't any organic dairy farms. So yeah, we've been at this for quite a while.
Wow. And
it's been 21 phenomenal years. I'll have to say I couldn't have ever picked a better company to be part of.
Well, I love that the pay price helps you to do that, to be sustainable. And you're leading into talking about that succession planning. From a lot of our farms have, multiple generations and bringing up, I know Ross is here with you today too, just bringing everyone together from a family perspective, and would love to hear your thoughts on the succession planning, because I'm looking at a slide, you can't see it right now, but it says the average age, the average farmer age of an organic valley farm is 45, call it 46 years, whereas the industry average age of a farmer is 57 and a half. So talk to me a little bit more about that, how this impacts bringing on that succession plan. I know we talk about succession planning here in the office as far as leaving, the next ones ready to go and taking the company for many years to come. What does that mean for you from a farmer member on a succession plan?
Well, I thought those numbers were interesting because I'm 58, Ross is 32. So if you add us together, we're at 45. So we are beating the average for Organic Valley by 1 year. It means absolutely everything to us on this farm. Ross, just in this last year, in last October, Ross moved into the big house at the dairy. He is now on the dairy, and my wife and I, Julie, moved up to our other farm about 8 miles away. So we have already fully begun the succession planning, and it's something that I think every farmer wishes for and hopes for, but it doesn't always happen. And that's really part of that sustainable pay price allows that to happen. Because we can actually retire without sticking it to the next generation, because we're able to retire with something in reserve, and Ross can move in here, and our other son has come back to the farm this year too. So now we have two sons on the farm, and I couldn't be happier.
That's great. Wow. That's just amazing to me. It's just having that is going to make us even more sustainable for years to come, and I just love that.
Well, it's absolutely, it's just absolutely necessary for real farming to continue, to have the next generation come on. Because I know from experience, once you get to be a little older dog, you just don't want to go at it as hard. Young people want to innovate more. They're just going to raise this to the next level in organics.
You bet. So the slide has been changed on the presentation here to permanent farmland protection. Do you want to talk a little bit about that? Well, the only way to protect farmland is to have it viable for farmers to make a living on that land, and that's really so vital in what we do too. I mean, you have to be able to pass it on to the next generation and stay on the land to really become viable. We're really very happy to say that what we do here is so environmentally sustainable as well, that that's one of the exciting parts about the next generation coming on, that the farm will stay sustainably farmed, and we can keep it in organic production where, we also take great pride in every drop of water. Yeah, because we have a very rainy season in the winter in Oregon, and every drop of water that comes off of any of our farmland is pure and clean. And you don't see that in a lot of the conventional ag land, and I think that's so important for future generations of farmers, but future generations of citizens on the earth to have an earth that they can count on as being clean. Sure. Can you offer a little bit on, so there's a bullet point on the screen that says we offer assistance to our farmer owners to help them along the road to farmland protection. Any thoughts on that?
Well, the farmland protection for us really is all about the sustainable pay price we get, because like I pointed out, we can protect the farmland if the next generation can afford to come on the land and farm it, and that's how you protect that. In my opinion, that's means everything to us here. Great.
Well, having a sustainable farms, sustainable, I would say, generations to come, just provides an opportunity for us to continue to embrace and help to grow the industry from, I would say, a product perspective. And we look at the organic industry growth, and having someone on the call here today that can speak to that, especially as she and her team are leading innovation and brands. I would love, Meenakshi, for you to jump in here and talk to me more about, we're sustaining the farms. We have the farmer members here. We've got the milk ready to go. How does the organic industry look? Is it growing? Are we able to pair those together? And where are we going from here?
Yeah, great question, Stacey. John, by the way, I love seeing the girls in the background. That's so wonderful to see the cows on the farm. So it just brings a smile to my face. So I think, Stacey, in terms of the organic industry, right, it continues to grow. And that organic food is continuing to grow. And if you look at the numbers, right, in 2020, the organic sector delivered about 9.5% of growth. And, as I sit back and think about it, it is not uncommon to see this, right? During the pandemic, consumers have a renewed focus on health and well-being, right? And they are moving towards foods which help them set up for long-term health. And, they are being proactive. So we are seeing those trends emerging. And that's why organic, which is all about, is all about good food. It's all about long-term health and how, it will play a great role. And that's why we see, those trends actually doing really well in the marketplace from a growth standpoint. You can clearly see milk, right? Milk is a nutrition powerhouse. And you can see within organic, milk continues to grow because, during the pandemic, consumers are making that choice to, feed their body with nutrition, which will not only set them up for today, but also for the future. Similarly, there are other categories we play in, right? Like cheese and eggs, and you continue to see growth there as well, because what the pandemic has actually done is, change the way consumers are eating, the way, consumers are feeding their families and coming together. So from my shoes, I see that organic is well positioned for growth in the future.
Love it. Perfect. Excellent. And not only from a sustainability and the growth of the organic, but we at Organic Valley are also very lucky from the standpoint that we love to give back when we have the opportunity. And that's just part of who we are. And so when we see things happen, natural disasters and or things in the marketplace where we are able to pick up and lift everyone along with us, we love to do that. I'm doing a quick time check right now. It looks like we're between 20 and 25 minutes left of our presentation here. And so what I'd like to do is I'd like to transition it back over to John and Ross, but because I think we're going to go into really what's super important, which is caring for the animals. And I tell you, John, I just have to ask you, what is the best day of the year for you?
Well, absolutely. Hands down, the best day of the year is the first day when the cows get to go out in the springtime onto pastures. We have a really wet winter time here, so the cows will be in the barn for about 3.5 months. But the day they get to turn out again is just about as good as it can get.
That is awesome. I tell you, I was just at Jim Wiedeberg's. The team went out there not too long ago. So Jim is also one of our farmer members. And he had his best day of the year. He saved it for us. I don't know if he really did that on purpose or if it just so happened we were all there. Meenakshi was there as well. And I tell you what, I have those girls coming out onto pasture for me was like kids coming out on recess. I mean, it was just so fun to see. They were kicking, they were playing. It was just really cool. And I love to see that. And I'm interested in learning today more about the grass milk, the rotations that you do. Talk to us about that.
Okay. Well, this is the part where you need to strap in because you're going for a ride. You're going for a ride on this one. So we talk about cow care and cow health on the farm, and you can do all sorts of things to keep cows happy and healthy. But the absolute most important one we can do is by grazing our cows, letting them go out and harvest their own forages on the fields. And so that's what we do here all spring, summer, and fall on our farm. Is the cows go out and they get to graze on these pastures, and they graze on a different piece of grass every 12 hours. So we have, and we're on about a 34 day rotation. So we have about 68 separate paddocks of pasture that these cows will go onto. And they start in one paddock at the start of the season, and they move through those. And then after 34 days, they come back to those same paddocks. Now, the concept for all of this is cows are ruminants. And a cow is born with only one stomach, and then she develops four stomachs. That's four chambers are developed early on in life as calves. And the largest of those stomachs is called the rumen. And that's where a mature cow will take about 300 pounds of grass a day and put it in her rumen. And a cow will spend roughly doing three things a day, 8 hours of each one. And 8 hours is physically eating grass off. And 8 hours is sleeping, but 8 hours is ruminating. And the rumen, where this grass goes, keeps being spit back up by the cow and chewed finer and finer and finer. Because this is the whole basis of the health of the cow, is that everything on our farm depends on healthy microbial populations. And a cow has 300 pounds of food in her stomach at any one time. And each little handful of that has billions of microbes in each little handful. So you can imagine if you take 300 pounds, how many little handfuls, and we're talking billions in each handful. And so those microbes, what the cow's doing when she's ruminating is she's burping that food back up, chewing it finer, adding in saliva and bringing it down. And that's a healthy situation for the bacteria. It makes it neutral, not an acid stomach, a neutral stomach. You don't get that when you feed large levels of grain to cows. You don't get the rumination. And so that brings the cow's health just through how she's eating, what she's eating and how she's eating it, to such an important level. Now, those microbes, so the cow eats 300 pounds of food a day. Well, she'll use some of that for her own body weight, and feeding a calf if it's growing inside of her, and then producing milk. And
well, John, you know what? I'm curious too, as you're going through this conversation, talk to me about how from a cow and a calf care, and then the time out on pasture. So you're talking about how the digestion of all that works, and I love all that. Also, to tell me about why is it important for OV that the cows are out on the pasture for longer? There's a slide right now that is showing 50% more grazing time than the organic requirement. I'm curious why that's important.
Well, because their entire health system depends on that, and that's because of that microbial action going on in their stomach, and then they. Any manure that comes through that system, that feed that's not utilized, goes back onto our pastures to feed the soil, because there's billions of microbes in each little handful of soil as well. So this is all a microbial driven system, but it's so important that the cow eats right, so the soil eats right, so the plants eat right, and frankly, so you eat right, because we plant about 20 different species of things in our pastures. So the cows have a balanced diet. They get all sorts of different nutrients from those different plants.
Plants.
Plantain and chicory and clovers and grasses, all sorts of forbs. Some things that we don't plant come and the cows eat. And some people in the farming business call those weeds. But if a cow eats it, I don't call it a weed. That's food.
That's a special little extra in her salad. So the
But-
next slide,
Yeah.
sorry, I was just going to go on to the next slide, which shows this.
Go on.
Yep, this amazing satellite grazing analysis. Would love to hear a little bit about that. What I'm seeing is some green and yellow. Explain to the audience how this is like new technology that's going to help us to be sure that she gets the right grass at the right time. And I know that is going to impact what ends up in the milk, which I think Nakshi's going to share a little bit about from a nutrient perspective. So it's all linked, right?
Right.
Technology.
So,
feel free, jump on in.
If you take a look at those pictures of my farm, that some are yellow. Yellow denotes that there's not much chlorophyll, the green stuff in plants, which means those fields were more recently grazed by cows. And then the ones that are medium, they're along the way of regrowth. And the ones that are darker, the darker green, they're the ones that are getting ready to graze. And so you can see in our system, we should always have about a third of our farm that's in the yellow, a third of the farm that's in the light green, and a third of the farm that's in the darker green, because that means the grasses are always in, the forages are always in a state of regrowth. And that's why we do that rotational grazing. So the plants can regrow. They have to bring in nutrients through the soil, through their roots. And, every leaf is just a full photovoltaic cell. It's like a little mini solar array. And so you need to leave some leaf surface on there so it'll grow back. And that's why we rotate. We want the cows to graze it, but we don't want them to graze it too low. So there's leaf surface to start that overgrowing again. And that's why that, and the technology that you're seeing just enables us to see what's going on our farm by clicking on our smartphone and taking a look at that image. And so I can see really quickly if we have a problem coming up in our rotation. And
That's amazing.
We may have to do different things. Might be a water issue, might be a nutrient issue, but it'll really allow us to do some things.
That's super cool. And I tell you that not only is it good for the cows, but it also, with that rotational grazing and the technology, helps us to increase our carbon that's sequestered. I'm going to kick it over to Meenakshi because while this is awesome for the cattle and it's great for the land, I also want to talk about how this is good in the nutrients in milk. Okay, Meenakshi, you're on mute.
Haven't learned in the last year, have I?
I tell you, that's the number one, sentence this last year is, hey, you're on mute.
All right, Stacey. So all the things which John just shared with you, right? Think about all of them and what is milk to a consumer? To me, it's very simple. It is a nutrient powerhouse, right? It is a comfort food, which is delicious. And, it's nutrient rich. And what's also interesting is that it is backed by science. And as we think about milk, right? Milk, the last year or the last so many years has claimed, and rightly so, that, it's rich in 9 nutrients, right? Whether it's calcium for your bones and, for teeth, whether it is, protein, which helps you with, repairing as well as replenishing, your muscles. But now milk can actually claim 4 more nutrients, right? It can claim iodine. It can say that, milk is a good source of selenium, of zinc and potassium. And as I think about this, and as I think about the nutrition bundle, it is so powerful that it really, any single food cannot actually stack up to that, right? So it is truly a nutrient powerhouse, which really fuels young bodies as well as consumers all along the age spectrum. And that's why, I'm going to kind of link it back to COVID and why you're seeing this spike in milk consumption, right? Because it is a powerhouse and consumers recognize that, they need to be proactive about their health, and milk is becoming a part of that conversation.
That's great. And I know that John was just sharing all of the grass milk, because that's what he's doing. And talk to me about nutrients in grass milk. Why is that different than conventional milk, or, share with me that difference and talk to me a little bit more about that.
The nutrition story on grass milk just keeps getting better, right? And it's very, very simple. There's a correlation between cows eating grass and the milk they produce. Grass milk is 100%, grass-fed cows, right? So what it's doing is they are producing more CLAs and more omega-3s. And you can see the numbers here. Grass milk has 125% more CLAs than conventional milk, as well as 150 or 147% more omega-3s. So, the cow is happy because, as John said, cows are eating well, soil is good. What consumers are getting is really, really high nutrition dense food.
Wow, you just brought that all back together for me with when you look at this, at all of the different milk. It's all about animals being stress-free, they're producing better, they're grazing, and that it's a whole circle of life. And I just think that is fantastic, and how our cows are grazing.
And Stacy, I'd just like to reiterate a little bit what Meenakshi was talking about, that, as we have all these different forages we're growing out here in the field, the cows are taking those up, but what's going on in the soils with those microbes and the mycorrhizal fungi that are bringing nutrients, bringing those things like selenium and all those other micronutrients, they bring those to those plants, and as the cows eat different plants, they're getting a total package of nutrition for that, and that goes through the cow into that milk and directly into that bottle.
I love that, John. And I think one of the pieces that we're going to pivot here in our presentation and start talking about is going to come over to Nicole. All of this happens, when you think of Organic Valley, not just grass milk. We talked about grass milk today, but all of the things that we do from an Organic Valley perspective is more grazing. We saw that in the video as well. We have more acreage where we have our cows out to pasture. But there's one piece here that I wanted to come back to. We talked about care of people. We've talked about care of the animals. And really the third piece of this is care for the earth, because all three of those things together leads us to providing something in the future and making sure that everyone has a sustainable life going forward. So Nicole, I'm going to turn it over to you because I know this is very near and dear to your heart on how we at OV are taking care of the earth.
Thank you, Stacy. Well, I will say that today, part of Care for Earth means care for climate. So I'm excited to announce that we have set a climate goal to become carbon neutral by 2050. And that's from farm to retail. This goal is aligned with what science say is needed for future generations to thrive. And I really feel, as leaders in food and farming excellence, this is the next step on our sustainability journey. As part of our goal setting process, we looked at a lot of different pieces of data. One of them is here on the screen. It's our life cycle assessment. That was part of a overarching comprehensive greenhouse gas inventory. And what our life cycle assessment really did was look at the carbon footprint of our dairy farms. We partnered with researchers at UW-Madison. And what we're finding is that our farms have a really low carbon footprint to start off. So we're starting in a really great place. We're about 50% of the way done, and we're showing really promising results. We anticipate to have it finalized by early next year. And I will point out that our LCA is unique in that it includes carbon sequestration. So that's something that hasn't been included before. And we're finding that the carbon sequestration that's happening on our organic dairy farms is reducing the overall footprint of those farms on average of 15%. So that's really encouraging news. Perhaps just to back up a second, I'll explain what an LCA is, right? It's a life cycle assessment. And it really looks at all the inputs to producing a product. So it looks at the emissions from the cow herself, how manure is managed, the pasture that's being grazed, the feed that's being produced for the cows, and then, any fuel or seed that is used for that.
We're really
product.
looking at it from the whole picture here, from end to end, right? And
yes,
carbon
exactly.
sequestration is just part of that end to end view.
Correct. Yep, exactly. Yep, and something near and dear to our farmers' hearts, right? It's those microbes in the soil that John keeps mentioning. They're the ones doing the work, sequestering that carbon.
Yeah, and that's why where we graze our cows in this rotational grazing program, we don't till our soils. Maybe about every 22 years, we'll replant a field, but our stands are perennial pastures, and so that's allowing that system of microbes with the mycorrhizal fungi to really expand. And that just drives more carbon down into our soil and makes our soil deeper and richer and darker and just filled with so much more carbon year by year. We have increased our carbon several percent, our organic matter in these soils since we've started this rotational grazing has increased dramatically. And that's carbon that's now being stored down in the soil.
Wow. So Nicole, thank you, John, for that. Nicole, I'm curious, how are we going to get there in 2050? What are the things that we've said we're going to do in order to get to that? I love what John's saying. He's bringing it in. They're already doing this. I mean, that's the piece for me is there's some things that we're tweaking and modifying, but a lot of it is foundational to who we really are. And John brings that up as he's talking about rotational grazing, but what are some of the things that we're going to do to get to the 2050?
Yes. Well, so we have built a pathway to get there, right? We're not just setting a goal. So we've set a reduction pathway, by 2030, we want to reduce our emissions 15%. And then by 2035, another get to 30% reduction. So what we're going to do is we're going to scale up the good that's happening on our farms and in our facilities. All of our facilities are powered with 100% renewable electricity. So we'll look at the other fuel consumed in those facilities, figure out how we can convert them to renewable sources. We'll look at our farms and help them scale up clean energy projects. That ties to our Powering the Good Loan Fund that we recently launched. So this slide here talks a little bit more about that clean energy loan fund. And what's great about this fund is it's low interest, long-term loans for our members. And what it will allow them to do is, for instance, if they want to install a solar energy project, they can get a long-term loan and essentially replace their electric bill with a loan payment and not increase their monthly expenses. So it makes it really accessible to a lot more farmers, which is really exciting.
Have we had a lot of farmers that have taken advantage of this opportunity?
We do have a growing list. Yep. We just launched it just last month. So we're working through the process, on a handful of farmers, which is exciting.
That is super, super exciting. Go ahead, John. I know you're piping in.
So we're currently working on putting a solar panels up on a barn we built a few years back with the intention of being able to put solar panels on there. And Organic Valley is helping us with technical support on that and working with a third party to maybe help on the funding on that. But we've also, over the last few years, have been replacing motors with variable speed drive motors in our farm, in our milking parlor, and our irrigation pumps, which has dramatically reduced energy use as well, and changed over our irrigation system that uses less water and is much more efficient with electricity. So we've already started down that path, but I know there's more things to do. We're going to be doing some other projects that will help reduce our energy needs.
Wow, that's fantastic. So, all the things as you wrap it up together, you think about how this is going to help sustain for the future. And right now, I'm going to introduce Ross. We introduced him earlier, but we haven't heard from him because he's been the technical savvy person there, John, working with you. But Ross, could you just share with me, what does all this, mean for you as you embark on your journey, being a farmer, growing up, and then into the future?
Yeah, no, it means quite a bit. So I'm going to take the feedback out. It's great to continue on, and build upon a system that's already pretty, sustainable going forward. But even building that biological system more to be more resilient and to bring that food nutrients to the marketplace. Because I've grown up on a farm my entire life. I am passionate about it. I love what I do. And for me to be able to carry on and keep doing what I love, can't ask a lot more from that. And it's due to Organic Valley and their pay price and their forward thinking on agriculture.
Oh, that is amazing. Well, thank you for those words, Ross. And I just want to close it up today for the video. Thank you, John. Thank you, Ross. Nicole, Meenakshi, as always, you two did phenomenal. And thank you to New Hope for this opportunity. If you would like to learn more about how we at Organic Valley care for our people, our animals, and our earth, please reach out and read our 2021 impact report at www.ov.coop/impact. I'm Stacy Kring, and thank you again for your time today, and I hope you have a great rest of your month.